So I'm here to discuss about the new recommendations, the automated recommendations within AWS. Previously, with the version 11, we had the functionality where it showed us from an idle perspective and from an over-allocated VM perspective, what's the recommendations, what do you as the user need to do to improve and save costs in the environment. With version 11.5, we can now execute these recommendations automatically within the AWS space. What does it mean for the customer? Basically, we can reduce the infrastructure costs, we can eliminate some of the wastage that the people have within the environments in clouds. We can align the cloud usage and costs within the business strategies, and cloud planners can slowly start looking at the future cloud costs with the migrations and recommendations within these cloud environments. So moving forward into our next slide. Today, we've only got a single view that shows us the cost basic view on the idle VMs or over-allocated virtual machines. The new enhanced view in version 11, that will give us a view by service provider, and it also includes the remediation actions that you can apply within the different business services. So I'm going to do a little demo for you now, because I think that's the next one up. Cool. So once you log into Cloud Cost Control, under the Cost Optimization tab, we have the scenarios where we've got idle virtual or idle VMs that can be terminated, and we've got the over-allocated VMs. Within this screen, you can determine the amount of VMs within the cloud infrastructure that needs to be terminated. You can do some analyzing around it. I'm going to drill down into the idle virtual machines. This will show us the on-premise, and I've stick here at the top, on-premise and AWS idle machines. I can include other systems like Azure, Google Cloud, but I'm going to focus just for this demo on the on-premise and AWS. We've included the new functionality where you can put a machine or a virtual machine in a particular state. You can either have the machine in a recommended state, and this is where we will tell you what needs to change in the virtual machine. In a committed state, this is something where you have now committed in going to change the virtual machine, but you need to remove your data, or there's some attention that needs to be addressed in the cloud environment. Once that's been addressed, we've got a thing called action requested, and this is the action that will actually go and do the termination of the idle virtual machine, or it will do the resizing of an over-allocated machine. Ignore means if you have an environment where it's a production server, but you do not want to terminate it, and this is a critical machine, it needs to run 24/7 or whatever the case might be, we can now include it under ignored state. Once you've included under the ignored state, your cost savings per month will then update it not to include that as a cost saving. So I'm going to drill down into one of these machines. Let's take an AWS machine. Click on it. My recommendation would be to change this EC2 instance. From this action, I can now go and choose, commit the action. I'm going to commit this one. So I've applied it. This commit action and the machines that's now included in here is something that you will export and pass it on to the IT administrators and for the guys to go and deal and attend to the machine. I'm going to take the same machine now, and I'm going to change the state on this one to request the action to change it within the AWS environment. So one thing you need to note is this warning comes up. It's sort of the point of no return. Once this is committed, it is done. If you want to proceed, yes. This then passes it over. We will then click on this, on the machine itself. Wait, oh, sorry. Under action requested, go in there. If I take a particular machine in here, I can now go and see the actions that was done in the AWS environment. So there was a terminate the AWS idle virtual machine. Click on it. These were the actions that was performed. Started sending an email notifying the people terminating the VMs, and then change the state to true. Once this is done, your AWS environment's cost will be updated. The same goes for the over-allocated of the virtual machines. I'll just drop in there quickly. If there's a machine that's been over-allocated, you've asked AWS to do a recommended action. So the same action applies in here, where you can go and have a look on a machine that's been resized or terminated. And now I'm waiting for it. Okay. And that is my story around automated actions within the AWS environment.